So, Mark, did you see the view is back? Vinyl Room is open, and everyone can get that spectacular view of the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, it's one of the more amazing views of the Strip. And once the guitar is all lit up, that'll be even better or something more to look at. So it's cool to see. I just want to know, like, did you get us our subscriptions yet? Are we members? What?
We're not fancy enough, Mark. I'm waiting for the sub $2,500 membership.
Yeah, we need the poor man's version.
But loving that old fashioned Carrie had, sexy as F. So happy Tuesday, everyone. We are back on Tuesdays and Fridays, so we're happy to have you guys here, spreading out the joy just a little bit. And joy was had at Rio, Las Vegas this past weekend, Mark, with the Trek to Vegas convention. I think this is the largest Trek convention every year, happens at Rio. And I was a little disappointed. I didn't see all the videos like we see with the furries, but I did see some videos of people dressed up. It looked pretty cool, like a good time was had by all.
I love how a lot of people go all out and look the part, full on prosthetics, makeup, all that stuff, the costumes, outfits. Seems like it's a really fun time, and it just goes to show we need Quarkspire back, right?
We do, and it goes to show there's different levels of fandom, too. I have watched every Star Trek series, every movie. I love Star Trek, but I've never been into that side of it, and it's a curious thing to see just how much it's a part of people's lives. But like you said, the money that they spend on the costumes, everything that they put into it, it is a big part of their lives. And it's so interesting to see that come into real life as someone who loves it, but never really engaged with it in that way.
Yeah, you would think just because of how successful and how much we've seen on the video, people love that bar, the theme for it, and it went away in like 2008, 2009, something like that. You would think somebody, okay, they're still coming for this convention. I know we're going to talk about what Rio's doing with that empty space that they have there, but this would have been something that they could have leaned into. And imagine having the convention with a themed restaurant or bar on site. Oh, it would have been huge.
Yeah, the Rio, the space that they're doing, that is a perfect space for Quark's Bar. I never thought of that, but let's talk about that. The Rio announced that they're going to create the venue. The first two shows to take in there will be Fabulous, the Ultimate Drag Brunch Show, and Tony and Tina's Wedding. Both shows that have existed for a long time, nothing new there, but they sort of, I kind of getting a hard time understanding what this is going to be. Multiple showrooms, a dining experience. This seems a lot like what happened with Disco Show, like what they did with Disco Show, different spaces, a show, a restaurant, bars. I don't quite know how they're going to pull this off, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, we talked about how smaller shows are making a little bit of a comeback in part because of this. So that's kind of cool to see, but Rio struggles to get people in the door somewhat. And we've talked about how this space is one of the bigger areas that's kind of unused in Vegas, and hopefully they're able to take advantage of it. But like you, we don't really know what this is going to be envisioned like. Can they pull it off? It sounds like it's going to be something that's going to be a little bit expensive to do. So I'm a bit surprised that they're putting this much into it, or at least that's the way I assume it's going to be. So as time goes along, we'll get a better look into what the plan is here.
Yeah, and I look back, I didn't see them announce this previously. Remember, we talked about Tony and Tina's Wedding and stuff, but this is supposed to open this month. So, yeah, let's see how it turns out. I don't know a lot more about it. If anybody else has any inside information, let us know. But it is exciting to see some investment. It's been a couple of years now since we've seen anything major at Rio following all those renovations.
Except for when they fixed all the locks after we called them out on it.
Well, that was a couple of years ago. We need something else new. I think High Stakes probably was the last sort of new thing that came in. That was probably over a year ago. But yeah, Masquerade Village needs some love. This is love there, so good to see that. But let's talk about the Lee family and Lee's Discount Liquor. It's weird to talk about a discount liquor store on a show, but that's been a business that's just been very much a part of Southern Nevada for a long time. It was owned by a father and son duo, and the father passed away a few years ago, and then the son died in a car crash the same year. They also, sponsored Lee's Family Forum, which is the former Dollar Loan Center. So just a big name here. And they got sold to another company, but another family-owned liquor store from Texas. So maybe the culture remains.
No, I like that it's another family-owned business, not a big corporation. I mean, it's still a bigger business, but it's not just some faceless corporation coming in, penny pinching and all those things. And I like that they're going to keep it as a separate brand, run it separately. So I think a lot of that will stay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Las Vegas locals, probably a lot of tourists, got their liquor at Lee's at some point, and the prices were good. But it was more about like them being in the community, the advertisements, the history there, and then it's just sort of been stumbling on post the passing of the founders. So big change there. They're going to keep all their sponsorships though. So Lee Family Forum going to continue strong into the future. No loan center return, thankfully.
Yeah, that is a great move. But I've always been the ABC store guy, so maybe I need to check one of these out.
So let's talk Poolside Blackjack, one of the coolest things to do in Las Vegas at several places that it still exists, including at Red Rock Casino off Strip. They just announced they're going 3-2 on all their blackjack by the pool Friday through Sunday. So I'm guessing during the week that the tables aren't even open. But this is good news. And it's so funny that the guy in the video from Red Rock, he explains what the dollar difference is for people to understand why 3-2 versus 6-5 is better. So maybe people don't really understand it.
Oh, if you've ever talked to just people on the street about anything math, even simple math, it's a big problem. I mean, just pay attention to people when they're trying to write a tip in on a bill. It's a struggle. So I could see why he broke it down the way he did, and then, you know, patting themselves on the back for just bringing back what it used to be like. But I'm glad to see it, and it's something that you don't see definitely out by the pools. Most of the pools anywhere I've gone to have the worst odds possible. So this is fun. It's a place that you want to go to, you want to hang out at. And I wish it was open more than just on the weekends, but at least they're doing this. Maybe other people will follow suit, as we see in Vegas. When one property does something, a lot of other ones do it. So hopefully they even do it at their other properties.
Yeah, it would be great. They just had their earnings call, and I didn't deep dive into it, but it seemed like it was very positive. So I don't know if this is a sign of just wanting to get more people out there, sort of the end of the summer. It is a beautiful pool area over there at Red Rock, though.
Yeah, it is. And I always enjoy it. Take a little break from swimming or whatever, have some drinks out by the pool, get maybe a free drink while you're gambling, then go back and sit down by the pool after you gamble for a little bit. It's a great way to do it. And a lot of people won't play it because it was 6-5. So hopefully this does bring more people in, and then we see it at some other properties around the city.
As a reminder, Las Vegas Advisor has a book. You can save hundreds of dollars in Vegas. We have a partnership with them. Use code MTM, save $5. It helps support the show, but also hundreds of savings around the city: hotel, gaming, dining. Get the book today. It's not too late. So one of the trials of the century is about to happen in Las Vegas, specifically the trial of Duane Davis, who is accused of being the bad guy in that whole kerfuffle with Tupac many decades ago. And he was arrested, last year? We covered that. And the trial starts August 10th, and that's going to be jury selection. And they're going to have, I'm sure a lot of people want to be in the courtroom, so they have all the rules about the lottery system that they're going to use to be able to get into the courtroom. They have overflow rooms for people who want to watch the video feed. So I think we're going to see a lot of this in the news day to day of this trial, because it's such a big story over the last 3+ decades.
Yeah, this was such a big thing in the 90s growing up. Tupac, I listened to a lot of Tupac music, and then Notorious B.I.G., like the same type of thing, and nobody knew what was going on with either, and nothing really ever came of it, and I always just assumed nothing would ever come of it. So this is kind of insane that we're seeing this come to fruition all this time later. And Sean's also happy he got to use kerfuffle because of YouTube rules.
Hey, I can find other uses of kerfuffle in this show, so just stay tuned. I can step it up and do even more. There's been talk for years of a memorial to be set up at Flamingo and Koval, the spot where all this happened. The city doesn't really want to remember that this bad thing happened and, memorialize it. But maybe after all this, we can get a proper memorial. His music was great.
Yeah, you don't have to put it right there. You could just do something somewhere in the city, but I think that probably would have been done a while ago. But like you said, maybe once they get through this, if they do convict someone, then they'll move forward. Probably not.
All right, so let's talk about another kerfuffle. First off, we got accused when talking about the stadium the last time, and what GOPI said about Bally's, that we're just Bally's haters apparently here, and that all we do is every show bring up Bally's to trash the company, and that is not the case. There is news regarding Bally's, and it's an interesting company because they are trying to grow like crazy in places like New York, Chicago, here, and they do seem to have some financial limitations with that. There is a story this week about Bally Chicago halting construction on everything but the casino, so the hotel, the restaurant, all of that, and it has nothing to do with money. They are in a dispute with the city of Chicago over VGTs, which are video game terminals, which I had to deep dive this to try to understand how Illinois law sees video game terminals from slot machines. They're basically slot machines, and they've been legal in Illinois for a while, but in 2026, the city of Chicago finally made them legal. Bally's is saying that breaks the original agreement because they're paying a ton. The taxes are really high. This is a very expensive casino for them to operate. And they're saying, if you're going to allow all these video game terminals, we're not building our hotel and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be lawsuits and dragged out unless they come up with some type of way, or maybe they lower the fees. Because I think they paid $40 million up front and then $4 million a year. And they're holding back that $4 million this year because they said, hey, this is what we were told, that we were going to get like an exemption and nobody else was going to have this. And that is a huge deal. Like if you're bidding out something and you know that you're going to be the only one in the city that has it, you're going to bid higher and it's going to be worth more. And everybody else that bid would do the same thing too. And now if you pull that rug out from under them, one, it's stupid if you gave them that guarantee, if you were ever considering rolling this back or allowing it for everyone. And two, like, did you not look at this or consider this? And who knows? We're just seeing one side of this at this point. The repercussions that are going to come from this, who knows? But I'm guessing Bally's is either going to get a reduction in those taxes, or maybe they're going to have to roll out another ban.
I don't know. This is a story, but for all the people who say I hate Bally's, I feel like I'm kind of on their side. These video game terminals, I think that the businesses are allowed to have up to 6 each, but they're all multi-game machines, so you can have multiple slot machines on them. I think the top payout has to be under $11.99, which was probably done because of old hand pay rules back in the past. So they're not quite like fully unrestricted slot machines like you might see in a casino, but it is certainly a different market when every bodega and store has these things and you're trying to operate this casino. And Bally's does operate their casino, their temporary casino currently, and their new casino is still scheduled for, I think, September of 2027. So for next year sometime. They're not stopping that, but there's tons of construction jobs. Everything's just at a halt other than the casino. So a big story in Chicago for sure.
Illinois has super high taxes, especially Chicago area. And I think we talked about this a couple of years ago where the online apps didn't want to have businesses there anymore because the taxes were getting raised on every single bet and things like that. And if that's the case for this casino, I'm sure that they were sky high compared to other areas, but they were willing to do it because they were going to be the only show in town.
The other question I have is, how does this affect Bally's future with everything else? They're clearly hoping to get this casino open. There's a lot of outlay there, but also they need the revenue. They need this casino to do really well in order to fund other projects, being able to do it. But you have to give them credit, as much as an interesting company they are, to have headline projects in Chicago, New York, and on the Las Vegas Strip. Can they pull it off? That's the question. Everybody let us know in the comments.
What if this is just a big game so they can funnel some money to Vegas to actually build that?
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. Tons of fun over there. Our after show, other bonus content, money saving guide for Vegas. It helps support the show as well, helps us keep doing it. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. Thanks to everyone in our Patreon community. So let's head over to Durango. And Chris Holmes got the drone up in the air so we can see the status of the huge expansion, phase 3 expansion of Durango, which is going to add bowling lanes, a luxury movie theater, a 2-story venue called Moonshine Flats, which is like a kind of a dance club, it looks like, more food hall stalls, more restaurants, more slot machines as well. And yeah, it's sort of filling out. You can kind of see how this was always designed to go there. And that's sort of how Stations builds their casinos.
Yeah, kind of like Resorts World is supposed to be like, right?
Well, I don't know. I think Stations actually starts building their expansions. Resorts World just talks about them. And I mean, seriously, This is a sidetrack, but will we ever get an expansion at Resorts World?
Oh, man, probably not. But it's cool to see Durango doing so well. And that is such a beloved place already. And the expansion, I mean, they've been knocking it out of the park. Everything they add is done well, done fast, and it continues to add value there. And this is just another side of that. But yeah, like you said, when you look at it, it's just, oh, okay, they're filling out the space perfectly, completely. And it's a well-run company, and you can tell.
So let's talk well-run companies. MGM. This came from Jedi Rich, and this just signs at Excalibur that say 21 plus, no minors in the casino. We've had discussions about how Las Vegas casinos are built a little bit different than in many other places where they don't even allow access to walk through the casino for minors. But here, everybody has to walk through all the time. And I guess maybe at Excalibur, they were having problems with loitering. I don't think it's a bad idea to have these signs everywhere because everything is so open. I don't expect that every tourist understands kind of the dynamics of all of this. So I kind of celebrate this. Put more signs up, let people know, and enforce it as well.
Yeah, but like, don't you think this is kind of confusing too to some tourists, like especially foreign tourists? They see this sign and they're like, oh, so I can't, how do I get my kids through here to get to the casino?
Yeah, I guess loitering is the thing. You know, it's funny because a lot of times it's really a walkway, right? What's designated as a walkway, and maybe it has a different flooring pattern, and that's where they're supposed to be. Or even legally, like you've talked about food halls right next to casinos, right? And if they're in the food hall because it has a different flooring and it's cut off, it is. So there are a lot of like technicalities, I guess, that a lot of people don't know. But it is not a bad idea, especially at a place like Excalibur, to remind you that kids shouldn't be. Is that where the video was that we talked about a few weeks ago? It might have been at Excalibur. Maybe that's why.
Oh, where the guy was putting his kid on those slot machines? Probably.
Probably. So maybe that's what happens. There's more kids around, though, at that type of a property. So it makes a lot of sense. But let us know. Do you think we should see more of this, more enforcement of it? Because I do see kids sort of lounging around the casino, maybe not sitting at machines playing, but security isn't as tight as when I was a kid. I would, well, I don't know, because I got caught for playing at the Tropicana. See, they need to take into a back room. That's what we need to do to the kids these days. All right, so let's talk something that is not going to last. $200 free play at Treasure Island. I first saw this from Bill Krakenberger, who I like to call Bill Crackman, and that is his username on X. But he is, we love Bill, and he's an awesome guy. And he shared this, but it's also been shared on Reddit. New and existing Treasure Island members, casino members, can get $200 free play Monday through Wednesday. This goes through September 7th. I expect by the end of this week, it'll be canceled. I think it's going to be over. This is way too much money. Lines at the door.
Well, it's interesting that they're doing Monday through Wednesday, typically slower days during the week. So maybe that will help prolong this. But we saw the same thing with like Fountain Blue when they did theirs, that it got shut down and then got brought back. And maybe they don't care. Maybe they just want to really ramp up what they have on their records right before Hard Rock opens, knowing that more people will be down in that area. They can send them some flyers, some mailers, things like that to try to bring them in, especially once Hard Rock opens. Like, hey, if you can't afford Hard Rock, how about you come right next door? So hopefully it does last. But yeah, like you said, if you can get there, do it this week if you can. Hopefully it makes it at least till next week, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, in the past we've seen with the internet and social media, these types of promotions, we're kind of heavy into like status matching and all that. So in our communities, we see this, but I have noticed with the last few promotions, even things like Tuscany a couple years ago, this went wide, and you're talking about just everybody. People just share it with their friends. And, you know, when it's $200, people are going to show up. I mean, it's a decent offer. And yeah, so hopefully it works for them. I really do hope it works, but there is a long list of past offers with marketing budgets that were blown in a way that they didn't expect. And these things do tend to end early. So if you are in town, go get it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's what's surprising, that they put an end date on it. You think they'd just be like, supplies last until we run out of money.
Which is always a day or two into it. So just keep that in mind. But let's close with this. The Content Creator Olympics, LVCVA is doing something different to attract the youngins to Las Vegas. They did this thing recently, and they just got done with it, where they took 5 aspiring content creators, basically brought them to Las Vegas, brought them all over. So this is very similar to, I don't know, influencer trips or fam trips that I used to do back in the day. I don't know if it's much different, but the goal is to create content for the young people, for the Gen Zs, to get them to come here. And it's a way that Las Vegas is trying something outside the box for a marketing. And I thought it was worth kind of discussing in that way. I think I've noticed a lot of these types of influencers doing official Vegas content, and I am not the demographic for it. I don't like that whole tone and style of video, but it is everywhere, and you're going to see more and more of it in an official capacity.
I think that's what people like. And we talked about this on the after show, how we don't really understand the younger generation, anybody like under 30, the way that their brain works and just the way they communicate with people is completely different, because they've grown up with technology and phones and been attached to them since they were 10 or whatever. So it's just a different process. So I think that this is a good move by Las Vegas by trying something different. And I think that they're struggling bringing the younger people into Vegas, where it used to be kind of like, oh, as soon as you turn 21, you wanted to go to Vegas. And I don't know that that's the case anymore with this generation. We've seen it with the things that have opened, like Netflix Bites and stuff like that. Like, they're trying to be more experience oriented, but you got to get the message out there. And I think this is a good way to get the message out there. And I think we've seen just from doing this show that people like curated things. People like to see the rosy side of things. They don't like truth. They don't like honesty. They want the fake fluff. And this is going to be a whole bunch of fluff.
Yeah, I totally agree that this is a great move by the LVCVA. It's weird for two old guys here to say, oh, this is great. This content isn't really for me. But Las Vegas has always been incredible at reinventing itself for the next generation. It's why it's still here. It's why it's so much a part of the zeitgeist in our culture. And in order to reach those people and make it as important to their lives as it has been to previous generations, they have to do this. And there is an insane spectacle here to be shared. And the younger generations do appreciate that spectacle. You just have to wade through the, I don't know, they don't want to drink. They don't want all the sort of raunchy stuff, I guess, that Las Vegas is known for. But there's so much more. And this is a brilliant idea.
Yeah. All we needed was gambling and booze. And we're like, in.
Yeah. See the Omnia Day Club yoga and what Mark had to say about that a couple of shows ago to tell you that it's all changing and that's what it is. But you know what? The truth is, from our generation to the one before us, we changed Las Vegas a lot. And that happened to our parents and their parents. And that's sort of what the city is all about. And yeah, you're going to see more of that. And the official Vegas channels very much are in tune to that style of content. But, you know, it's something for everybody. It's really good to see Las Vegas still going strong. And the LVCVA, as much as we like to criticize them, they are always trying to think of how to market the city. And I do think they do a pretty good job.
Are you trying to say our generation is the reason that we don't have themed casinos anymore? Because now I'm upset.
Yeah. I mean, City Center, kind of. Cosmo. Yeah, we did it. We ended it all.
We suck.
Yeah, we do. So let us know down in the comments what you think about anything we talked about today. Are you heading over to Treasure Island for your $200? Did you go to the Star Trek convention? I bet Cinnamon Girl was there. Let me know down in the comments if you were there, how it was. Rio's new venue, what is that going to be? Is it going to be like a disco show kind of thing? That'll be fun. The Content Creator Olympics, everything we discussed on this show, leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, and we will be back on Friday with another show. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody. It's like an old wheel just oiled up. Tuesday, Friday. You got it so much better. It's much easier. Apps were wanting to pull out because they were... Oh, that sounded dirty. You're supposed to say that's what she said right there.
That's what... So anytime you say the words pull out, I have to say that's what she says. Okay, I got it. I got it.
Okay.